Okay, so this is what has been left for us. Well, we'll start with this collection framework first, and then time permits will go to legacy utility classes. The main thing which I wanted to speak about is date format. These are the two main things which we'll be using from the legacy classes. Yeah, one more thing is sometimes property class also. So we'll see them later on. Aram se pehle isko we'll see this collections framework. Somebody tell me what is a variable, or I could say what is the purpose of a variable? Why do we use it? Don't want to answer?
The variable used to store data.
तो बोलना चाहिए ना, कोई तो आंसर करो भाई. Variable is to hold the data, right? Hold the data at more specifically, more technically speaking, to hold the data at program execution time, at runtime. Correct or not? In simple words, it's at runtime. Chalo, theek hai. To hold a specifically a single data unit. Can I say like this? Right? Specifically, this is a single data unit. मतलब एक ही value, one value. Okay, or I could say one value. All right, at runtime. So somebody tell me what is an array? What is the purpose of an array?
To store data.
और ऊपर वाले का जो है ना, उसको और भी स्पेसिफिकली बताता हूँ. To hold a single data unit of a specific type at runtime. Correct? You cannot. Yeah, specific type only, because variable is based on type, right? So what is an array basically? I could say to hold a single data unit or multiple data units.
Multiple
data
multiple data units. यानी कि
multiple data of same time.
many values
one value.
of a specific type. This is same.
data types.
Correct? Yeah. The only thing is which are basically in index. In indexed order. That's all. That's the only difference is what this fellow shows. So all of these values that are placed in a indexed order, we will be in a position to. Right or wrong? So more or less, I could say array is also used as a variable at runtime, mostly. But this array has few limitations. I don't say them as drawbacks, but I'll call them as limitations. The limitations are basically like this. One, arrays are to be initialized to block their size in memory. Agreed or not? You, until and unless you give them certain size, you cannot deal with arrays. The second limitation followed by the first one. The moment when you initialize irrespective if you use it or not, the entire memory use utilized filled with the default values of the type of array. Correct or not? This is one. Third one, once initialized, the arrays neither can be increased nor can be in size. Basically leads to a new array creation only. We have to deal with only new array creation. And when you want the old values back, when such new array is created, all values to be copied manually from the older to newer. These are all the kind of limitations we need to deal with arrays. You are understanding this one, right? Clear? So, and then सबसे last but not least, they are based on a single type. So, not dynamic in terms of type, and also not dynamic in terms of size. These are the main limitations of arrays. So people thought like, this is the one of the most valuable element which can facilitate to hold more data units at runtime. And the limitations is something like, पहले memory block कर दो, फिर एक ही type का block करो, फिर दो बार assignment का काम करो, like, fill with default values and then assign the actual values. एंड उसका साइज इंक्रीज डिक्रीज नहीं होता, यानी कि साइज इज फिक्स्ड, उसका टाइप भी चेंज नहीं हो सकता, यानी कि टाइप इज आल्सो फिक्स्ड. सो ऑल these things are called as, the limitations of it. So they wanted to come up with a programming unit, or a logical unit which can be an array and dynamic in terms of both size and type. So uh, a component which is an array but dynamic in terms of both size and type. That is the target. Make clear? This is what they wanted to come up with. Now, can somebody tell me what is the definition of an array? Technical definition of an array. How do you define an array? When somebody asks you what is an array, how do you start it with?
Collection of homogeneous data
So
elements.
the C language says it is collection of
Similar data type.
homogeneous.
Homogeneous
जीनियस का स्पेलिंग कोई करेक्ट करो, मैं तेलुगु मीडियम का बनना, आई डोंट नो मच इंग्लिश. ठीक है, जो भी है, collection of homogeneous elements. So the term starts with the word called collection. So they felt like, let us release an API component called collection, which will serve as the purpose of an array which is of type dynamic, array which is of size dynamic. Clear? That's how they have defined their root element as collection. Hope this is clear. That's a scene behind the story. Am I clear? Okay. So let's understand what is this collection is all about. So the collection is a root interface of all collections. So interface collection, they define basically to derive the operations of whatever you can do with array. Now abhi batao, what are the operations that we can do with an array? Is we can add elements, we can remove elements from an array, we can search for an element and then go to that position, we can see in a particular index what is there an element, all these kind of things, right? So they have defined methods to do the same operations. So the first method is public object add, which will take object E. So every collection is based on some type of E. E stands for element type. E for element type. Okay. And then you have public. Basically, this defines Boolean, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It returns true or false based on whether an operation is successful or not. Public Boolean remove, you will have to say object element. And then you have public. Now this is for adding and removing. Okay, you could actually check contains object E. It will return true or false for this search, whether an element is there in the collection or not. Now that you have added elements, you have removed elements, and you have searched for elements. Okay, now it's time for us to understand like how many elements are there in a collection. So you have a method public int size. They haven't defined length because length is already taken by string. Length property is also not there because it is already taken by array. So they come up with a new method called size. And then let's say you are not interested in elements, you just wanted to clear it off, then you can actually call public void clear. It actually removes all the elements of that array. Right. Now, what if you wanted to copy elements from one array to another array kind of thing? Well, you run for loop at all, right? So here we have a method, public boolean add all collection C2. So from another collection to this collection, we can add all the elements at a time. Public boolean remove all collection C2. So basically it will remove all of those elements who belongs to collection C2 from the current collection. And public boolean contains all, which will check whether collection C2 related each and every element is available in the current collection or not. If at least one element is not found, it returns false. And there is one specific method which is available in this model, retain all. So which will take collection C2. इसमें क्या आता है, when you say retain, you wanted to keep that at any cost, ignoring the remaining. So what happens when you say C1 dot retain all of C2, then it will keep all the elements which belongs to C2 and remove all the other elements. So it is exactly reverse of removal. Okay. Now that you have seen operations like how to add, how to remove, how to contain, what is the size X, Y, Z. Now, how do you traverse through each element like a for loop? Like collection is nothing but number of elements which are added one after another. How do you traverse them? So to traverse it, they have depending on someone called as iterator. So you can call it as iterator also. Iterator also chalega. Okay, and it is also specifically of a type is what is been written by calling a method iterator. So this is these are the basic collection methods is which we are available, and this collection interface is being implemented by many people and they have implemented this iterator. So what is this iterator is all about basically? Well, it actually facilitates us to traverse the elements, right? So this guy has methods for it. So interface iterator of type E. This guy has methods like public boolean has next and public object next. And this guy is being extended by another interface list iterator extends iterator of type E. Now this guy list iterator is based on linked list. So he gives us the facilitation, not just the forward only direction, but you can also traverse in reverse direction. So he has added two more methods, public boolean has previous, and the other method he has got public object previous. Dekho bhaiya, these are the root interfaces that we have. Apart from this root interface collection, they have defined one more root interface parallel to this collection. I am clear. This is a single element based. Now they also wanted to have a collection which is key value based, like a dictionary. So that interface they have defined as map, which will take k comma v. So basically k comma, this could be a collection. Okay. So a map can contain a key, and a key can contain more than one value at a time. So this map interface do have certain methods defined. They are like public boolean put, which will take object key comma object value, and you could actually get an value by supplying the key. Public object get, you supply the object key and it returns the value for it. And you have got public set of k. What is set, we'll discuss it later. For timing, please understand set stands for unique values. So map is always consists of a set of keys, comma, list of values. So set stands for unique, list stands for duplicate values. Okay, key set. And sometimes, as I told you, you will get this object. You can also get क्या है इसका नाम, public. There is a sub interface of this. Okay, interface of this, which is basically written by you know map dot entry, which is of type key, comma, again value. So by calling this method entry set, this actually returns you map dot entry interface. So what is this map dot entry interface looks like is interface map dot entry of model key, comma, value contains two methods: public object get key, and you have public object get value. Well, map dot entry is nothing but basically one entry of key and value combination. This is basically one key value combo. Okay, so it's one key value combination. So at any point of time, one key will contain one or more values, right? That combination is called as entry, one entry of the map. So these are all the kind of we have so many other methods also. Put you have remove also. You could supply a key and then object will be removed. You have something called as public boolean remove. You supply object key and then that value will be removed. So something like this. You have a few more methods. Okay, I'm right. I'm giving you only a few of them, which is required for you. Well, these are the two different kind of root interfaces that are defined for the collection framework. ठीक है ना? Any doubts so far in the methods or the
Yes,
interfaces
sir.
that we have discussed?
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. You are audible.
Sir, can you repeat for the interface?
Entry?
Map
dot entry or
No, sir. Contains all and retain all.
retain all? अच्छा.
Contains all and retain.
मैं बताता हूँ. देखो, there is an interface collection called A. Assume. Okay ना? Let's say for example, call one. और इसका नाम है समझो A. A is having P, Q, R. And eventually I do have a collection called B. And B is having X, Y, Z as elements. Okay ना? Okay ना? समझ में आया ना? दो collections है. So I said A dot add all of B. So basically this operation will add all of the or copy all of the elements of B into A. So eventually A will now contain P, Q, R, X, Y, Z. Okay, correct. Down थोड़ी देर के बाद मैंने क्या बोला, A dot remove all of B I said. तो इसका मतलब है the meaning of this is remove all those elements that match with the elements in B. Then what it will do? It will try to take each and every element available here, comparing with the elements of B. So tell me the comparison. Is P available? No. Leave it. Is Q available? No. Leave it. Is R available? No. Leave it. How it will do? It will check if B dot contains of element at this position. For each and element, it will do iteration and check if B dot contains this element. Yes, then it will be removed. Something like this it will do. So here, after this operation is being done, okay, so the values that will remain in A will be again P, Q, R. Am I clear? Because here is the match. So X is there, Y is there, Z is there. These three elements will be removed. when you say remove all. Okay, na? Now on the other way, when you say retain all, on the other hand, when you say A dot retain all from the position B or from the B collection, meaning of this is it says ki please preserve all the elements that belongs to B, removing remaining. So here XYZ belongs to B, so it will keep XYZ and it will remove PQR. So the A now contains after this operation X, Y, Z. You understand this change?
Yes, sir.
बस इतना ही है. Okay. भाई समझ में आ गया? कुछ डाउट है?
Yes, sir. No, no, no.
Okay. Fear iterator. Please note down this point also because I have started explaining this. I wanted to explain this. Assume I have a collection called A. So in code, when I say iterator ITR is equals to A dot iterator. So when I call this has a piece of code to be written like this. While this ITR dot has the next element, well, I wanted to continue the loop. As long as I have next element, I wanted to continue the loop. So what is that you wanted to do, Ram? Let's say I wanted to print it. System.out.println itr dot next. Now what happens here? So this basically will print me P, Q, R, which are there in the elements. Which are there in the collection A. But how this is printed? Basically, क्या होता है यहाँ पे? When you have generated an iterator, basically iterator ITR is generated having it as a buffer of what are all the elements which are there in A. Now A previously contains 3 elements in it. P, Q, R. ये जो मेरा iterator ITR है, this is pointing to the before first element. ITR is pointing to before first element. Now your while loop starts. By default, when iterator is created, the iterator pointer always points to the before first element one. So now the while loop have started. Iterator has next. मुझे क्या पता? Then JVM comes to the next position and then see, is there an element? Tell me answer. Is there an element in it? Yes, it is. So it will return true. So while loop continues. And then you said, I need itr.next. Then the control, what it will do, it will push this element out for you and then keeps your control over here. So P comes out and then that will get printed. Then while loop comes over here. And then again, you are asking itr has next. Then it will come down here and see. Tell me, is there a next element? Yes, it is. And then while loop continues to say itr.next. So Q will be pushed out over here. So Q is printed. And then again, while loop continues, you have asked for itr has next. मैं इधर जाऊंगा. Is there an element? Yes, it is. R is there. And then again, you will say system.out.println itr.next. R is been pushed out, and then I go here. Then again, while loop continues, you are asking ICR has next. Is there an element over here? The answer is no. And the while loop fails and it will come out. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
तो ऐसा traverse होता है collection. Okay. And whenever you create a collection, basically you keep on adding elements. What happens is in the background, it creates a new array, nullifies the old array for the garbage collector to come and clean, and also copies all the old elements to the newer elements. That is how it maintains the collection's dynamic behavior. How it is increasing the size of the array? Generally it will increase 10% of the current array size. Now by default, what is the number of elements it will declare? Well, that depends on your memory size. And then this is basically one of the old utility class is there, vector bolke. From that vector this behavior is derived. Okay, originally there was a class called vector. Vector has this facility. So when you create an object of vector, you will give initial size and increment percentage. So it will start with that initial size, and as soon the last element you are filling, it automatically increases the size. That's how the behavior of vector will work. What it will do, it will create a new array with the added elements and then copy all the old array elements into the newer one. That's how it increases. So the vector is then added as a part of this collection framework, but primarily the collection framework behavior, more or less the way it increases itself in the dynamically, is based on vector only. Hope this is clear to everyone so far. भाई लोग
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है देखो अभी we'll go to the this topic, we will extend it to the next point. Now that how many interfaces you have seen at root level? दो ही है, don't tell me 4 5, नहीं दो ही है, एक दो, तो ये helpers है basically. This is a helper interface for this fellow and for iteration, and this is a helper interface for this fellow for iteration. Understood? Okay, so primarily at root level, what are the type of collections we have? Two types, single element and key value pair based. Am I clear on this?
Yes, sir.
Now, abhi
Yes,
dekho.
sir. Yes.
अभी क्या है? The collection what we were speaking about, the interface collection. This collection interface cannot be directly used. That's what they felt. They felt like, this cannot be used, but this interface app can be used directly. But the interface collection cannot be used. They felt like interface collection is more or less like a human. Hey, how many of you have seen a doctor congratulating a parent when he's waiting outside of the maternity ward, and then doctor comes out and then hugs that parent like father and says, "Hey, come on, man, congratulations. It's a human." कैसे दिखेगा? कैसे लगेगा बताओ? Right? We know that humans only will grow. Born कौन आता है? Human ही born होता है. So he cannot say it is a human, but everybody you can say what the type of element you are. You will say कि I'm a human. Okay, हमारा creature का model क्या है? We are of humans, right? But we will never be called as humans. So the doctors say, congratulations, it's a baby boy or it's a baby girl, correct? So they felt like collection also cannot be used directly. It can be used as its subtypes. One is interface list, interface set, and the legacy interface queue. Okay, so this is a legacy one to support the legacy interfaces. Now this Mr. Collection interface is being extended by these three. राम क्यों ऐसा इतना मतलब बहुत सारे इंटरफेसेस क्यों बन जा रहे हैं? So to give you the facility of adding your data types at runtime. Well, this list basically supports duplicates. Assume you have a requirement to add student names, and you know that student names will repeat. You agree with that or not? Right? So for such a kind of requirement, you go for list. Sometimes interfaces, these things deals with unique values, unique elements. Why you need to go with unique elements? Sometimes you need to go with duplicate elements. Okay, now the difference is you have to understand the difference is sometimes you may have to deal with the duplicate, sometimes you may have to deal with the unique value. Any situation, for example, if you take your hall ticket number, well, hall ticket number is a unique value. You cannot have a duplicate in it. That's why it is called as set. For instance, have you ever heard set of sketch pens? What do you mean by set of sketch pens? A set contains all colors, one each, unique. No color will be repeated. Okay. Well, similarly, if you see this Mr. Q, this is basically to support a legacy. Okay. So legacy classes. We have queues and stack and all. To support them, we have this interface queue. Well, that's what they said. And then interface map is as is. Well, this is equal to the interface collection. So it is implemented as Okay. Now, if you have seen this list interface, first time this guy is being implemented by one of the class abstract list. Similarly, if you have seen this abstract class called abstract set, and this has been implemented by abstract class called abstract queue. And how about this fellow then? This guy is implemented by abstract class called abstract family. Okay. So that's it. Okay. And then these people who are actually abstracts are extended by certain concrete classes. They are a class, array list, and I have a concrete class linked list, and array list is been extended by class called vector. Okay, so what is this? I'll say here. And this abstract set is being extended by a class called as set and a class called linked has set, a class called preset. And what is this map is all about? Okay, इसको थोड़ा ऊपर करता हूँ भाई, ये नीचे चले जा रहा. Well, this guy is being implemented by concrete classes like this. Hash map, hash map, map. And we do have another thing. We have a class called priority queue also. Yeah, as a part of our session, I may not deal with queues. We will deal with list set, and then we'll deal with map. We'll go to some other examples. We'll wind up. Okay. So these are the kind of classes which are bifurcated. Well, all the list classes basically they allow duplicates. Set classes they allow only unique values, and map they allow key and value pairs. Queues, as I told you, queue is again more or less it is like an array list only, which will contain continuous elements. Okay, priority queue is more or less as a natural queue, which is first in first out kind of thing. DQ is it's a two-way queue. It's something like this. ऐसा रहेगा. First in, last out. First in, first out. Okay. So last in, first out. Last in, last out. All the kind of operations can be done using a DQ. Am I clear? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, देखो ये why these many kind of people are there? Just to facilitate you. As I told you, this is just to facilitate you. Now this array list, right? If you have seen this array list, this guy has added few more operations. This is the most widely used class in Java after the string class. Okay, most usually class for database operations and to pass multiple values and to retrieve multiple values in the internet. I'm sorry. I'm actually feeling so sleepy because of I do not have slept properly last night. The class array list. Okay, so the class array list is being added with a few more methods apart from what we have over here, right? It has added a few more methods. One is public boolean add, which will take object e tak okay hai. You would actually pass index also. What is this? I told you array list means it is like an array. The elements are added based on some index. So you have to provide the index. Then the given element is added to that index. Then what happens to the element which is already there at that index? See, array list means it already contains some index. Assume, let's say there are 4 elements. You are trying to insert an element at index 2. What happens to the element which is already there at n2? That will be pushed down to the next index. Okay, so because of this reason, whenever you try to do a element add operation, am I clear? And there is another operation which is at the given index, the element will be removed. Okay, element remove हो गया. What happens to the indexes? Please understand, they will be rearranged automatically. So because of this, basically, for every add or remove operation, the collection will try to rearrange all its indexes. Because of this reason, this operation is a costly operation. मतलब ये time लेता है, consume करता है, ज़्यादा time consume करता है. Am I clear? And then there is another method added. Public return type is object called get, which will take index and then returns object at that position. These are the few methods that are added by array list, which we will be using most of our time when you would deal in JDBC for the servlets. So everywhere you go, right? This array list is a very base level thing, compulsory how to use. Okay. Now, what is a linked list basically? How it is different than array list? The methods are same. Everything is same. The only difference is a linked list consists of two-way doubly link. Let's say these are all the elements I have, right? Then there will be a link between every element two side. So when you search for an element, irrespective of how many elements are there in this big tree or not, the search always starts from the 0th element, which basically delays a lot of time for searching things. But on the other hand, when you try to remove an element, assume, let's say you wanted to remove an element over here at this position, and then this link to this element is removed, and then here it will make a link to the next element directly. This is how, when you are dealing with linked list, basically, read and I mean to say addition and removal operations, they work really faster, whereas search operation works really slower. In contrast, when you deal with array list, your a search operation will be slightly slow, and then compared to addition and remove, they will do big job. Am I clear? They are faster, I mean to say. ठीक है ना? तो अभी कौन सा यूज करना है? It depends on your situation. It depends on your requirement. अब लिंक लिस्ट यूज करना है करो, array list यूज करना है करो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. Most of the times I never work with linked list. Only one time I have worked with linked list. Rest of the most of my time I dealt only with array list. Am I clear? अभी दूसरा unique values, which is sets. Well, if you see how this elemental model, when you are keeping on adding elements, how it know that a previous element is already there, and whether you are loading a duplicate element or a new element is a unique one or not, how it will know? Well, what it will do, it basically generates a hash code of every element that you are adding, and then it takes the hash code of the new element that you are adding compared to the hash code of every element which is already there in the collection. Well, any element is found duplicate, then the old element is automatically replaced by the new element. That's so it maintains uniqueness. Now, please don't think that that new element is ignored. No, 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 no. That will be replaced. We will see that behavior specifically when we come to map. Okay. Map में मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ एक key को when you try to replace with to another key value pair, you will see the older key value pair is replaced by the new key value pair. Key will be same, नया value आके बैठ जाएगा वहाँ पे. So that we will observe in a clear way. We can observe when we come to maps. अभी के लिए समझो when you are dealing with hash, okay? When you are dealing with sets, a hash code is generated for every element you are adding, and it is compared with the hash code of other elements which is already there in the collection. Any match found, the older element is replaced with the newer element. But the order now, because the comparison or anything is dealing based on the hash code, when you work with hash set, right? Please note, when you work with hash set, the order of the elements when you see an output is never been or may not be the same order that you have added. Let us say there is a collection called A, which is a set. Okay, to this A, if I have added B, C, B, A, assuming, I mean, it's not that just exactly the same I am adding, but it may be the another value, then the output can be anything. I cannot predict at all. It can be CDBA, it can be BDCA, it can be ACDBD, or it can be anything, because the way they are added based on the hash code. So the order of insertion is never predicted. But on the other hand, when you work with linked hash set, okay, if you have added the elements into an array in the order of D, C, B, A, then the output also will be the same, which is D, C, B, and A. Now, on the other hand, if you are using tree set, this tree set basically implements one of the interface. Okay, so what is this sorted set is all about? Basically, this contains a behavior model where it can sort the elements automatically. Well, this sorted set interface is a subset of the interface set. So because this tree set is implementing that, when you are dealing with this linked hash set, if you see the way you enter, the same way the output also will be. So the output will be again DCBA only. Okay, but when you are using tree set, because they are sorted, the output will be A, B, C, D. That is depending on their actual value. Am I clear? That is the difference between hash set, linked hash set, and tree set. Ultimately, what is the purpose of them? In order to load only the unique elements. Clear on up to this level? It is clear, right? Okay, and then yeah, as I told you, I'm not dealing with queues at the moment, and I'm giving this as a small assignment to you. Maps. Maps are also in the same way: hash map, linked hash map, and tree map. The only difference is when you're dealing with these people, you need to add elements. Instead of adding elements, sorry, you need to put element. Okay, now put an element using the key value pair. So put and get is what you are supposed to do. The behavior of a key value is something like key will be unique. Unique key can contain many values, like in dictionary. Let's say, for example, if you take a dictionary, assume there is a word and a word will contain meanings. A meanings may repeat, but word will not be repeated as a part of the index, correct? Like there is a word called speak. What will be the values or meanings for it? Conveying, speaking, communicating, talking, right? So these are all the values or meanings that we can have for a word called speak. And then index continues. There is another word comes into the picture called talk. So what could be the meanings of talk? The same thing, communicating, conveying, right? Speaking, talking. That means values can be duplicate, but keys cannot be, values can be duplicated. Yeah, keys cannot be duplicated. They can be always unique. That's the reason why when it comes to map, right, the key is always unique, which is set, and value can be a single value. It can be unique also. It can be duplicate also. In fact, it can be a multiple value also. So this is all. These many people were being generated by Java only for your convenience. Well, based on your requirement, you could. Now, when you are adding elements to this map, right? So if you are using hash map, based on the hash code of the key, elements are added. Linked hash map, in the order of insertion of keys, elements are added. When you say tree map, well, as usual, this guy also implements something called as an interface called sorted map. So because of this reason, elements in the map are sorted based on elements in tree map are sorted based on their value. Clear? So these are all the type of collections that you are gonna deal with. What is the again what is the end purpose of these collections? What was the purpose? Yeah, same as variable, same as array. Keep some data during runtime, deal with it, manipulate it, and you wanted to get it, you get it, you see it, you delete it. Whatever you do with a variable, whatever you do with an array, the same you are going to do with the collections also. The only difference is you do it through your methods. The only difference is you do it through your methods. ओके व्हाट आर ऑल द मेथड्स ना ये बोला ना मैंने कलेक्शन और उसका जो भी है मैप का द सेम मेथड्स आर यूटिलाइज्ड और I mean used among all the different kind of collection classes. Okay, get it? Shall we see programs on these things one by one?
Yes.
Yes,
चलो एक
Yes,
छोटा
sir.
सा ब्रेक दे दो मुझे 2 मिनट पानी पी के आता हूँ. I'll be back. Be online, or if you wanted to take a small break also you can take. Okay. So this is all the API explanation of the collections. Now let's get into a few examples and then see. Everybody is there in the call, or shall I wait for if at all anyone has left to come back and join? Thirty-three members are there. I'm continuing the session anyway. Done. Okay, come back. या सब लोगों को चाहिए मैं कोई मैं बोला कि सारी मेरा सच नहीं आ सकता तो बोलते कि यू आर इग्नोरिंग but when I need it, right, no one will come and help. But if they need, if I don't go, then that will be a mail chain waiting for Ram to come and help. Ready. Chalo, theek hai. Now, by the way, all of these collections, they actually wanted to add it as a part of java.lang. And then they felt like, java.lang has already been overloaded with many classes and all. And collections are mainly developed based on the class of utility class, which is vector, right? So they thought of adding this collection framework as a part of util package. So you need to import java.util star if you wanted to work with collections. Okay. Now I have a class called first collection. Well, here I have my public static void main string args. This I'll just show you the different ways of dealing with collections. How do we, so to see that collections are dynamic in nature, both in terms of type as well as in size. Let's say I would like to say system.out.println. Oh, sorry. First, let me give a collection. So here I wanted to deal with duplicate collections for time being. Let's say, for example, list example, I'll say list example. So I'm dealing with the list or नहीं first example ही बोलते first collection ही पूरा type देख लेंगे इसमें एक example में देख लेते first collection. So initial I deal with the list. Okay, list. Let's say call is equals to call का मतलब collection or elements, or you could call it as list itself if you want. List is equals to new array list. Hey, what is this? See, list is an interface. We have seen it, right? Dynamic binding. Whenever you wanted to take an instance of a class, you better take on its parental model. So I am trying to take it on the name of list. Okay, list is equals to new array list. Well, to this array list, I wanted to add elements and then show you. So here I'll say key initial size of list. Let's list dot size, and then system dot out dot println elements in list, or I could say elements initially in list. Yes, list. I'm just trying to print it directly. So expecting list dot toString is being called here, correct or not? Right? So whenever you try to print an object, what happens? Like it will call the object dot toString. Now here I'm attempting to add 2-3 elements to this one. Okay, so I'll say list dot add of Ram. What am I doing? I'm trying to add a string. And then I said list dot add of, let's say 20, adding an integer. Then I will try to print these elements. So size of the list after adding two elements, and then similarly elements in list after adding two members, and then that's a list. Okay, cool. So here I'll try to copy this set, Control C, and V. Now I'm trying to add a few more things. Let's say 22.55, and then we'll say true, and then I'll make this as a normal double float value. So here I'm trying to add a real number, right? Or I could say it double. This is what I'm trying to add. And this one is basically adding a boolean. Well, integral, real number, and boolean 2. And then after adding the 4 elements, and then after the 4 elements, I could see this is gradually increasing. पहले 0, फिर इसके बाद 2 बन जाता है, फिर उसके बाद 4 बन जाता है. And then what I will do, I'll try to remove certain elements. So here I'll say remove RAM. I'll comment this for timing. So size of the list after removing one element, and then similarly this is also the total number of elements after removing one element. Okay, so basically you could actually see the size will be initially 0, then increased, and then after removing it is decreased. So something like this. Control S and say first collection Java, and here I go to the desktop, Feb 2021, save. That's saved, right? So shall we see the output? Okay, so I'll go here to the Mr. Fib22. Open my command line client, Java C, first collection dot Java. No errors are there. Surprisingly, I am getting two warning notes. What are the warning notes I am getting is, देखो राम भाई, तुम्हारा first collection dot Java जो भी है, it is using unchecked or unsafe operations. Another note, if you wanted to know what are all the unchecked operations, you have to recompile with -xlint. Well, even if I try to do this using -xlint, lint. So here it says unchecked call to add E as a member of the raw type. Look at this add E, the way we have discussed, right? Add of object E. Similarly, it is saying it is you are adding it as a raw type of the list, raw type of the list. What is this raw type of the list I'm trying to add? What is the problem here if I try to add a string or integer or real number or a boolean? What is the problem here? We'll see that. अभी नहीं. ये warning का मतलब क्या है? Why we are getting this warning? We will see after 2-3 examples. Okay, where E is a type variable, E extends object declared as an interface list. So ये सारा कुछ warning क्या दे रहा है? Why it is not allowing me to add a raw elemental type directly? We'll see that. CLS. But remember, that's a warning only. That's not a compile time error. So here I'll when you say dir, sorry, Java first collection, you could actually see it is working. Initial size is 0, initial elements are none, and then there are the size is increased to 2 after adding 2 elements, and then elements are RAM and 20, and the size is increased to 4 After adding 4 elements, RAM 20, 22.55, and then last one is true. And then size is decreased to 3 after you have removed RAM from the list. But look at the way the order of the elements is in the same order that you have added. That is the behavior of array list. Okay. Now I'll show you one specific behavior over here. Let's say I'm making this as a linked list, control S, and I'll come here. क्या कर दिया मैंने? So again, a warning only, but it is basically not doing anything. Java first collection. Well, it is more or less it is the same behavior. Have you seen any difference between array list and linked list over here when you have worked with? Let's say this is array list. Control S, and then when you say Java C and when you run it, it is more or less the same output, correct? पूरा स्क्रीन को देखो, कुछ भी चेंज नहीं है, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. अब देखो, the moment if you have this as Mr. Linked list and you are trying to remove this 20, let's say instead of RAM I'm trying to remove 20, okay, and this is basically, it's not adding, this is removing integer object, and this one is removing string object. ठीक है ना? String object or element जो भी है, control S. Well, we'll recompile this program.
Sir, there you have to write.
नहीं, देखो देखो क्या हो गया, देखो ये मैंने ऐड कर दिया, माय मिस्टेक, सॉरी, यही बोल रहे ना तुम?
Yeah, sir.
हाँ वही माय मिस्टेक. क्या बोल रहे हो? Why is it saying so? Why it says index out of bound exception? In the linked list, java.title linked list, checking the element index, it says कि 20th index is not there. लेकिन 20 मेरा index थोड़ी है, right? 20 is already my memory. Why it is taking it as this one? This is because list elements, either linked list or array list, when you supply an integer, that by default is been taken as an index. No, I wanted that to be considered as an input object. Then you simply have to say, I am looking at object version of this 20. I'm not looking at index. Am I clear? I'm looking at object version of 20. So will you remember this point? Control X. Yeah, this one. Here 20 is taken as index, and it will try for removing element at index 20. So here what I'm supposed to do, I'm supposed to say list dot remove 20 only. I need to, but this is supposed to be an object or number also you can give, version of 20. Then this 20 is taken as integer type object to be removed from the collection. Hope this clarifies you. Then now I will try to, अभी भी कुछ तो बोल रहे, क्या हो गया इसको? अरे यार ये वाला, इसको कमेंट करना भूल गया मैं. This one I forgot to comment. जो error आया था ना previously, right? So I forgot to comment. So I have commented this now. Control S, and recompile this. Run this. Now the 20 will be removed. So that is the difference between when you supply 20 as an index, when you supply 20 as an object. Clear? Any doubts in it? Now, the same kind of behavior, you can add any type of element or you can remove any type of element using this also has set and all. Now, if you have to see this one, like instead of list, if you wanted to make this as a set, is equals to new has set. The only change I have done, instead of making this as a linked list or anything, I am making this as a has set, and I'm trying to add elements and I'm trying to remove elements. The main point which I wanted to show you here is adding the duplicate value. Okay, so if you have added a duplicate value over here, list dot add of, let's say, Mr. Ram again. Well, basically, if it is a linked list or anything, it actually accepts this control S, and then you could see two RAMs are there. It is allowing duplicate elements, correct? Okay,
Yes, sir.
so it is allowing duplicates. But now abhi kya hai? I have made this fellow as a set. So what is expected? The first element is replaced with the second element when you add. I'm expecting only one RAM as a part of this collection. Dekhte bhai. Warning is still there. You could see only one RAM. Okay, so that's the important point which you need to know, that here, irrespective whether you add the it actually always overrides or replaces the older element with the newer element. But if you see the output, what was the output model? When you have added RAM and 20, look at the output model. See, look at the way you are adding. You have added RAM first and then 20. What was the output here? 20 and RAM.
20.
Similarly, after that you have added 20, 25, then true, then RAM. Then it should be like RAM 20, 20.55, true, and then RAM. But look at it, 20, 25 RAM and then true. So the way it is adding elements is based on the hash code, not based on the way you are giving the input. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
और अभी देखो, इसको अगर मैंने linked hash set बनाया, तब this will obey order of insertion. मतलब the way I give the order, the same way it will take. अब ये ले लिया RAM and 20, फिर उसके बाद RAM 20, 20.55 and then true. वो last वाला RAM क्या हो गया था? He has come and replaced the first RAM. Okay, this is following order of insertion because now I am using linked hash set. अब बताओ, if I have used this tree set, then what will be my output? इसको देख के बताओ, इसी को देख के बताओ. See, this is of hash set, this is of linked hash set, and what will be my output for the tree set? I'm showing you set based output only. पहला वाला है linked, sorry, पहला वाला है simply hash set based on the hash code value. The order of the elements is based on hash code value. Then linked hash set based on the order of insertion. अभी मेरा tree set है, मतलब sorted value कैसे आएगा output?
It will maintain the sorted order. The output also will come in sorting.
Sorted की मतलब कौन सा पहला आएगा? For example, true false will contain 0 or 1, तो true पहला आएगा क्या? Or true false value which is 0 or 1 is considered as an integer, and then again integer value of 1 or 0 is sorted with 20. It will come in that way. In what way it will come? I'll show you. The order it will come is like this. Ta-da. क्या है? What is it? You see, this is the warning we are getting so far. You are trying to add raw types directly, and there is a big possibility that you may do such a kind of comparison operations in between dissimilar data types, non-similar data types. So you cannot compare dissimilar data types, can you? If I give you two bottles and then ask you to compare and then sort them, you can compare based on either length or capacity or whatever. If I give you a tree and then bottle and ask you to sort, you cannot sort because both are dissimilar items. If I give you a laptop and mobile and ask you to sort, you cannot sort. Hope you are understanding this. So sorting happens between similar types. Sorting cannot happen between dissimilar types. That is the warning it is trying to give. So far, saying ki, dekho Ram, you cannot add raw types directly. So that's what we have got when I compiled it using xlint. It shows that to that list or to that set, you are trying to add a raw element. So that's what the error is. Java.lang.string ram. Okay, sorry guys, some power disconnection issue. The way we were experiencing previously also, right? That day we were facing some disconnection issues at my home, right? Same thing is repeating again. अभी पता नहीं. By mistake, I've taken 6 months subscription for the internet at nearby, which will I just joined back. I switched off the net and then I restart again. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
फिर से शेयर कर रहा हूँ स्क्रीन. वो I'm facing that disconnection issue one more time. तो हो गया था. क्या करें? Ta-da. Okay. Well, that was the problem. So what are we supposed to do it to eliminate such kind of errors? Well, though collections are dynamic in type, you can do them in this way or you can deal with them in this way. It is very well accepted till you deal with tree set. Never go with tree set based on the raw type. If you wanted to work with tree set, please make sure that you are dealing with a specific type of collection. Am I clear? I repeat, a specific type of collection. So here, what I can do is I actually can say a set of type string is equal to new tree set, and it actually takes from its parental, which is of type string only. Now, if you do in this way, now here, while the compile time itself, it will not allow you to add different elements into that one. So here I can add only few things. Let's say well, something like this I have added. Okay, so this now I will say okay, control S. Now you can see the RAM is added 2 times, and because this is a set, so it will allow only one time L. And if I compile it now, do you see this error? Or sorry, do you see this warning now?
Yes, sir.
It's not because now I am following a proper way of declaring and then dealing with collections. And when I try to run that, it happily sorts the elements I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. Yes or no? I, K, R, and S. That's the order, sorted order. So please note one point. When you deal with tree type of elements, you cannot go with raw type. It should be a typed, specific typed set. Am I clear? That's the first point. Now, how do we okay? How do we traverse through these elements? Like Ram, you are simply printing that list, right? So how do we actually traverse through these elements basically? Well, this is one way of All right, but I'm really sorry. There was a connection issue again, and then I have connected back. I'm trying to take Act Fiber Net this weekend, so probably from Monday these issues won't be there. If they repeat, I'll come to office to take the sessions. Okay, I'm taking a new class to speak more on the next level of examples. Okay, now here it is. Sorted collection. The type of collections we are going to learn now is of type sorted collections. Public.
Please.
Wait a minute. Did I share? I shared it. रुको मैं फिर से start
Sir,
करके share
it is stuck.
Sir, it is stuck at one place.
Okay. I tried reconnecting, switched off net and then reconnected back. This is my last attempt. अगर ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं आए तो थोड़ा ब्रेक लेके फिर से कनेक्ट हो जाएंगे हम, ठीक है ना? I'll call the internet person and then see what is the problem. You are able to see my screen now at least?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It is stuck.
Yes.
Previously.
Previously stuck हो गया. मैं क्या करूं फिर? I got disconnected. मैं नेट भी ऑफ करके फिर से कनेक्ट हुआ. अरे यार okay, I disconnected and connected back. Let me share my screen again.
Leave the meeting and rejoin, sir.
वो वही किया यार 2 बार, तब वही कर रहा हूँ तब से। इवन मेरा इंटरनेट भी मैंने रीस्टार्ट किया। तो अब देखो, if you are able to see at least, no, then we'll connect back after some time. I'll call the internet guy and then let him know. Still no for the screen?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Indradev, you are sharing the screen. Indradev is sharing the screen. एक मिनट रुको। No screen is visible to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. No visual.
Not visible, sir.
ठीक है, let us stop this here in that case. Give me some time basically. I'll speak to
Yes,
them
sir.
and then I'll inform in the group like क्या है प्रॉब्लम बोल के। वो कुछ फोन करके या कुछ अपना आदमी को भेज के फिक्स कर देता है तो we'll connect back, ठीक है। So my intention was to complete collections today, पता नहीं, this is way beyond our capability to solve the problem.
On Monday we will.
हाँ, वो मतलब एक देखो, I need 1 more hour to speak about this sorting related stuff. We need to deal with something called as comparable and comparator. That is one point which I wanted to discuss, and then we'll see maps, and then we will see something on lambdas. So lambda streams and all, they require 1 hour. Sorting related example requires 1 hour. Maps put together 2.5 hours is what I need. 2 hours, good. So I'll see if I can sort it out and then connect back. No, it's not that all of you are joining will solve the problem. Like net is issue is from my end only. I think this is repeating twice or thrice in this from last 2 weeks. So देखता हूँ मैं. We'll stop it here instead of पहले recording stop करता हूँ. Unnecessarily discussions are getting recorded.